Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Classic Quest podcast. This is the one where we go through all the classic rap albums and seems to be what y'all seem to be loving these days.
Given, what music's become.
Yeah.
Plus, we're cherry picking great albums, so it's probably just better shit than some of the newer ones that have definitely come out in 2017.
And we're definitely trying some of your recommendations.
Right. Which was this album was by request, but also by curiosity. Also, I don't know, something closer to the newer musics too. I mean, it is a late 90s album.
Yeah.
And I personally, fuck it. My name's HSR, and
what up? It's Chris Chrome.
I'm your lady friend Bonnie.
If you don't want to hear us blabbering for a while, hit the show more. You'll get a breakdown of a lot of songs and when they're being talked about. On that note, this is episode 28. And with that, Chris, why don't you tell us what album it is tonight?
Well, for this fantastic Classic Quest episode, we decided to go with Big Pun's album Capital Punishment.
That is indeed what we have done. So this was requested, but I thought it was cool because it's a little bit different than some of the other stuff we've been doing in terms of style and flow, and it's something I've been curious about personally for a while. Like I've tried to listen to this album a couple of times, but never due to lack of interest. I was never able to finish it due to interruptions, not lack of interest. So I've been through the first half a couple of times, and I've been bumping Still Not a Player for a very long time now. And
that's true.
That's the one with Joe, not with Fat Joe, because they're
not
different.
To be confused. There's two different Joes on this album.
Oh yeah.
So for me, it was a pleasure to get this request. It was you know what, good idea. I'm
when
damn
did you
curious.
actually hear about Big Pun?
Way back when. He's one of those names that gets lumped into greatest of all time conversations, even back when I was in Seis and getting into music. He's on all the lists. He's everywhere.
He's on all the lists.
No, really, he's considered one of the top lyricists of all time,
well,
and all sorts
this
of other
album
shit.
explains a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of one of those names, but I didn't really listen to him much over my time. I knew he was really lyrical, and he was quick, and he was up there listed with bigger names like Pac and Biggie, although never considered the best, just one of the best kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
And I was long overdue to check him out, and I knew he rolled with Fat Joe and the Terror Squad. I knew he had died, and I guess he's just kind of one of those names.
I guess. I mean, I knew none of that, so, goes to show. But, I had heard, the song, which one was it that you have?
Still Not a Player.
Still Not a Player. Because he's played it, but,
it's got such a good groove.
yeah, I mean, and it is good.
Well,
but
we'll talk about it.
Yes, but I hadn't really heard it otherwise, and I didn't
Right.
know who he was, and I didn't know that he had died, and...
And
yeah.
you?
I've heard Twinz before. I have some friends who've actually listened to Big Pun growing up. Never really listened to him, my personal choice, but I was really interested in finally seeing what people thought about him, and man, he's actually lived up to what people have said.
All right, so this is a bit of a longer album in terms of track
Yeah,
length.
24.
How we do
it's
this podcast.
An hour and 12 minutes.
It could take some time. So what do you guys think of the name and the album cover?
I was a little bit thrown off with the name. I didn't know exactly what to think. I took it more political. Talk about capital, money, punishment, pain, revenge.
Capital punishment's the death sentence, no?
Capital punishment, I think, is just going to jail.
Okay, yeah. So,
but it
Right.
also has to do with his name, right? His name is Big Pun, and it is a play on the words, obviously. So, and it's also a shortened version of punishment.
Well, he's
So-
also known as Big Punisher.
it's the comic book character.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, based on
And
that.
he's he's good with his word game, so maybe that's what the pun
But I
is
felt like
intended for.
capital
Good call.
punishment. I felt like there was going to be a lot of government talk, a lot of
Really?
political touch upon. Just I guess just my
I just thought it was gonna be,
ignorance in the
gangster,
word, my not.
See, I
trouble.
pictured it he was going to come back and dish hell upon people. Because if you look at the cover, he kind of looks like a villain. He kind of superhero type.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you think about the name and you think about the Punisher, he comes in and he instills vengeance in very, very violent ways.
Fair enough.
So I just pictured Big Pun being like the rap version of the Punisher, ready to unleash hell upon hip-hop through lyrical assaults.
I can see why you see that.
That was my impression of that. I liked it. I thought it's one of those cool covers that you're not going to forget. It wasn't over the top, and it kind of looks like
just him
a bit of a
kind of
comic.
like looking sideways, kind of looking like intense and like shifty. Like you're not like getting like a full front vision of him, so you're not really like getting to see like what's going on behind his eyes, but you're getting like a snippet of kind of what's going on behind his
Kind of
in
like
his
don't
brain.
fuck with me type face. Like,
Yeah, and
like,
he's kind of like watching you, and like he knows what's up, and I don't know, just I gave me that kind of vibe, like he was trouble, and he had his eyes on you.
right.
All right, so
And this came out on April 28th, 1998.
August 28th, 1998.
is it August, April?
I am April.
I don't know. I didn't Google it. I just stopped.
Well,
paying
one of them will let us
attention.
know. One of
I
the
knew it
viewers
was
will let
that
us know.
part of it.
It's probably with me.
Fuck it. Let's go into the intro. We'll just check it. This was wrong. Bunny was right. It came out in April. Okay,
Ding, ding, ding.
moving on. I love this intro. I like the fact that he just shouts out the Punisher as like a comic book hero and why he likes the Punisher versus the other heroes because he's the biggest, meanest,
mostly
baddest
X-Men. I
motherfucker.
guess it was like the choice of it was just at the time X-Men and Punisher were coming out.
There was a lot of stuff coming out at the time, and it was just all heroes. By this point, I mean, most of these heroes have been around for 30, 40 years.
Okay.
It's not at most. Some, I don't know the whole chronologically, but I know that shit's been around for ages at this point. And it shows he's a bit of a geek, right? Because he clearly likes comic books and shit like that. So he's not just a one-sided dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that he takes like his persona and told through the perspective of some kids just discussing comic books to let you know what kind of a rapper he is, what kind of a person he is.
But it wasn't just like kids discussing comic books, like all like happy and stuff. Like it's kids like being pretty violent and.
Well, they're debating it intensely. I don't know if violence.
Yeah, and it's actually an extract from some movie called Fresh.
Okay.
So I mean that's what that clip is from. It's only 34 seconds, so we just hear like a little bit of that. But like right away, you kind of it does set the mood, like and
is there
whether
some
or
notes
not.
that start playing in the background, like twanging.
Yeah,
sounds?
for me, like the sound of the metro in New York is like distinct. And like you hear like that scraping that goes by for like I don't know they've just never oiled like their subway sorry and so it's just very squeaky and so you hear it and like there's a stretch that goes over like Brooklyn and so like that's probably what's like going by like like you hear it going by and so like you can tell like they're probably not living in like the best place because you know nobody wants to be living right underneath that. And so it sets the tone for like where it is that they're in New York, they're in probably Brooklyn or something like that. And we find out that it's like, they're from the Bronx. So I don't know. I think it does a pretty good job of like setting the tone for like what the album's supposed to be, even though it's not him. I gave this a 4 on 5.
I give it a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was one of the more clever and like it really applies a degree of brevity so as to not waste your time and so it's to the point and it does it really well and I find it something that you can easily listen to again and again.
Nice.
Okay.
I also gave it a 4 on 5 for the exact same reason. It opens up the analogy of the comic books. It allows us to know that he's not just interested in drugs and killing and this. There's a little bit of I guess an innocent interest in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it does set a tone for the album. So.
All right. So beware of the stuff.
Beware of all of
Hard as hell, but they Gargamel. Picking on the smallest victim gives them hard to kill. My squad is real.
So I love it. This is kind of one of those guys where he could probably rap about a lot of preposterous shit. But because he raps about it so eloquently, it's kind of really fun. Like, I respect the fact that he is able to maintain an entire 16 there without leaving a spot to breathe in. And I know how hard it is to deliver a verse like that. And it's really exceptionally, like, technically excellent.
Well, clearly he's very talented.
His rhymings are
I feel like he probably has like buckets for lungs or something, because he does seem to just be able to go and go and go and go and go, and without taking like a breath.
Well, you can hear his breaths at later parts of this album for sure.
Yes.
But on this, it's really crisp, and you really don't hear those breaths. There's one in the second verse that you hear. You do hear it. Otherwise, it's so crisp. It's on point, and it's just... I love the way that he just takes the rhymes, and then he rhymes them, and he keeps the rhymes alive as long as he can, and then just seamlessly you're in a new rhyme that he kills in the best way. He has a really
crazy syllable game.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of structuring the sentences and the way he rhymes his words, it's like he repeats certain syllables that keep coming up, and then suddenly, like you said, you're in a different rhyme
the
scheme.
term is feminine rhymes or something, where you're not just rhyming the word or the specific ends. Like, it's not like a simple rhyme where it's like rat, bat, tat. It's like he's coming with 2-3 syllables in a row, and those syllable sounds he's rhyming over and over again. So it creates more like little punchy phrases that rhyme with each other. It's kind of like what Tech 9 does a lot of, only way cooler, like way smoother, and honestly with a lot more of that gangsta edge that really sells it proper. Like,
it has a very New York like kind of feel. Like right away you kind of get that, like that he's probably from like Brooklyn or the Bronx or, you know, Queensbridge or something. Like, he kind of has that feel. So I think that's probably what it is.
And the content is just savage. Like, he's just like
don't fuck with him or his
I don't think
crew.
It's really like. I think he's just hard. I think he just represents, like, he's just really, really hard. I don't think it really matters where it comes from, like, in terms of, like,
I think he has that style. She's right. He's got that way of rhyming that comes from
like
that.
Right away it feels
like this
like
isn't Cali
way.
rap.
Okay.
This isn't, like, Southern rap. This doesn't have... It's got that hard, punchy... Because, like, the New York rap seems to have a lot of witty punchlines, a lot of puns, a lot of allegorical descriptions of how they're going to destroy you, because that's the kind of hip-hop they are.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's darker, usually.
Because the reality is grim as fuck. Like, as we discover, he comes from some of the worser parts of life and moves into shit as life moves on. So I see where you're coming from.
Not that Cali's not dark, it's just that it's so nice and bright and sunny
Cali
there
music
that they can't really be like...
But, like, they don't have the same kind of, like, flows and stuff. It's not the same kind of thing. It's like almost like if you look at, like, take an NWA, the way he raps is just not comparable to the kind of construction of rhymes that comes from the almost distinct sound of New York. I agree with your assessment there. You can hear it in his voice, but he comes at it with, like, heavier speed, and honestly, he's like almost a bit of a machine gun without being like a chopper or one of those Twisted type guys. It's really impressive to me. And then he's harsh, and as he's spitting it harsh, he has like this almost blatant disregard for anything in his voice. Like, some people say they don't give a fuck. This guy doesn't give a fuck.
And you can tell. You can tell. He's very direct and very...
And if I understand, at this time in his life, him and Fat Joe were really running around being little hooligans, living up a lot of some of this shit is not necessarily as fabricated as other rappers may have been more storytelling. Like, let's say it's not implausible that some of the shit that he describes actually would have gone down in his childhood or younger days.
Yeah, you wouldn't question it.
And
I would just like to say this now and get it out of the way. He definitely lives up to his name, the big pun, because he's quite a large fellow, or was.
Yes.
And he died just 2 pounds shy of 700 pounds.
At this point, he's like 400-ish.
He's a big guy, whereas Big L was sort of average in height and in like weight. So
She's been looking forward to telling you this.
I don't know what's been going on there, but I'm just saying I like that he lives up to his name and that he is in fact a big fellow.
Fair enough. I like the beat too. I think he flows within the beat really well, and it's really intense. I gave this song a 4.5 on 5. I feel like the hook, the interpolations, they're not my favorite. I know that it's classic. It's very short.
They weren't anything great, but they weren't bad.
And you can tell that this shit was not built for radio or anything. He's really just about the bars. And let's say the snob in me that kind of likes a bit of pop element, kind of half a point off. I could not bump this all the time every day. I did plus this on Spotify. I want to memorize Big Pun's fucking album because it would make me a better rapper. That's how I feel listening to this shit.
That's true.
No, yeah.
It's amazing, but, you know, just not perfect.
Yeah, I also gave it a 4.5 on 5. I really liked it. It was a really solid, tight track. Like, his rhymes are awesome. This is really just his, you know, him and his crew's warning to all of y'all to, like, not fuck with him or them because, like...
Terror Squad will fuck you up.
Yeah, like, yeah, they're gonna get you. And, like, right away, like, I kind of was like, oh, he sounds a little bit like Biggie. And it's like, I guess we find out later on that, like, you know, they were, you know, hanging out and he gave him lots of advice.
Inspiration and
Fair enough.
I gave this song a 4 on 5. It's really great. The only thing I didn't like about it is I found that Big Pun's, he's very clear, very articulate. But I felt like the background instrumentals were just a little bit louder than him, that he kind of drowned out a little bit. But other than that, it's a really good song.
You know what you could say about this song for real?
Super lyrical?
It is super lyrical.
Spill with the Punisher, that's my accomplice. Stressing to MCs how they don't really want.
Pheromones are a huge distraction. Anyway, so she wanted to let me know that Black Thought was, in fact, of the Roots, even though it says it right there on Spotify, and even though I knew that already.
And, fun fact, another one, apparently Black Thought and Big Pun never actually worked together, like, physically, like, ever. Like, and they were really good friends. They talked on the phone all the time. Like, apparently, like, he would speak with his wife, and, like, they were really connected and stuff like that.
Doing different shit.
But they just never had the opportunity or required to be in the same place at the same time, even when they were recording songs together.
See, that I didn't know. Thank you for your wonderful factoid.
You are welcome. And thank you, Black Thought, for, like, mentioning that on Genius.
I really dug this track. I feel like Big Pun just kind of continues from the last song, bringing it in, focusing a little more on how great he is and a little less on killing people, but still kind of violent, you know?
A little bit more
definitely
wordplay.
a tight.
And then I like the fact that Black Thought comes in and breaks up the flow, right? It's something different. It's like, okay, here's another completely, like a little slower, but still as tight, still as harsh.
But I like
and then don't they go back and forth on the third verse?
Yeah, that was amazing, the back and forth on the third verse. Well, I guess if they each have a little bit of a verse, if you want to call it that. But I also really like how, like you said, he gave it a break because at one point Big Pun just kept, like, repeating the same syllable, which was captivating. I'm not saying it's bad.
Verse 5, if that's what you're talking about, I thought it was, like, astounding.
When
I was like,
he's really into alliteration, and honestly, when I can hear somebody do something like that, to maintain that, I think it's probably one of the hardest things to produce. Just how do you write that? Like, I've tried to write shit like that, and it requires an insane amount of flow, understanding the syllables, understanding how to keep it going, and then when you're differentiating between single letters, between your, like, to memorize that order and to deliver it so flawlessly. It's really fun to listen to.
I question where Big Pun had the time to, like, learn all this while he's running around getting his money.
Well,
because he's a smart guy.
I think we can address that later on this album, if you know what I mean.
Oh yes.
But I like the beat. I gave this a 4 because the hook has more interpolation on it, right? It's Biggie and somebody else.
Yeah, it's Biggie and Logic is the song.
Cannabis.
Yes.
So Cannabis those are the two guys, and it's showing that lyrics are important, technique is important, and they're gonna back it up, and they do.
Back it up.
Honestly, I'm blown away by Big Pun. It's hard to, like, quote specific lines because there's so many Big Pun words dropped in a verse that it's well delivered. Yep. I enjoy and respect it. It's like, this is everything, like, a 21-year-old me wanted out of hip-hop and an artist. Back when all I cared about was hard-hitting punches and crazy rhyming and stuff, and I didn't care as much about the message. Big Pun's it, and now I understand his message a little better, and he's pretty dope. He really feels the spirit of hip hop, and he's an excellent fucking villain hero type. I'm impressed so far.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
But 4 on 5.
Yeah, I again also gave it a 4 on 5. I mean, this is a song about like dissing and like bragging about how good he is, and or I guess they're both kind of doing that. And like he really lives up to his like words because he really is good. Like it's like you know, like you were saying, like it's not a wonderful song. It's not perfect, but I thought it was a good song, and like it definitely proves that his rap game and his lyric game is like on point. Like he's living up to his name.
Shall I say it's super?
It's very super.
Or super duper?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say that.
Okay, go Chris.
No, this is actually a straight 5 on 5. I'm really into the fast rap. I'm really into the syllable play. I'm really into the whole lyrical word going fucking same sounds. And there's nothing here that is less than impeccable.
Okay.
Okay.
Right? It is flat.
Disagree.
No,
We can agree to disagree.
I guess so. But I really feel like they both presented themselves very well in terms of validating why they have super lyrics and how they can do it. And I really like it when artists decide to go back and forth and jump with each other in verses. It's amazing. 5 on 5.
Yeah, it was cool.
All right. Bonnie's favorite track on the whole album, the first one she plussed, is next. Taster's Choice. Skit. So, I have one thought on this. What a way to give you a song about threesomes that will definitely make your girlfriend not want to have a threesome with you. Like, thanks, Big Pun. Thanks for making the like ultimate goal even harder to achieve. Fuck off. That's how I felt with this.
I just wanna like back him up here. I do understand if this is the message you're trying to send, or he did try to send.
I think you made a great point earlier, Chris.
He's basically stating that in any type of situation, he's king shit, whether it's a sexual
I think he's
pleasure.
an effective problem solver.
Yeah, he's an effective problem
wise.
solver.
He recognized that this one was still horny because she wasn't getting the D from the other night. And this one was still wanted his dick, and that the tactful situation was to lay him out with one with her legs spread and she's eating the pussy.
Okay, we know what happened. We know what happens.
And he
we know what happens. We know.
solves
You just have to listen to it, and you know what happens. We don't need to describe it.
Look, if
I thought it was funny. I honestly laughed the first time. I was at work. I was playing this in my headphones.
I hated it.
And I just was like, what the fuck am I listening to?
I hated it.
Here,
It wasn't
whatever.
the only reason why. First of all, I gave it a 2 on 5.
I gave it a 3.
I don't like these things on albums. I don't find there's any real purpose.
It was another time.
But that's like, we'll get into that on the next track. But it's a 2 on 5 because 1, it doesn't need to be there, and 2, besides the message, it's very sloppy and raunchy. And
I gave it a 3 because, you know what, considering like De La Orgy, or if we talk about
I had the same effect,
the Biggie
bro,
one,
like,
it's actually a better version. It's pretty funny. Like, it's not exactly a game comedy, but it's got a ridiculous situation playing out, right?
Yeah.
And when you actually think about him in this moment with these girls and stuff, and I found it to be comical, and because I wouldn't really go out of my way to listen to this again for real. It's not like, I guess, delightful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a good way to take the album from "I'ma fucking kill you" to what comes next. And if you look at its role on the album, I have to give it a 3. It's effective.
Yes.
Bonnie?
I gave it a 2 on 5.
Oh.
I didn't give it a 0 or anything like that, you know, like I have before with these kinds of songs. I don't really feel that it like needs to be there, that we have to listen to this. But like it does serve more of a purpose, exactly like you had said. Like, it's better than the other ones. It serves a purpose, and like it's not just sex. Like, he, you know, like you were saying, like, he solves a problem. Like,
right.
And as stupid and ridiculous as the problem is, you know, it goes to show that, like, you know, he's obviously in control, and, like, you know, he likes...
And he's considerate.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, he just, whatever. So, like, you get to know him a little bit more. It's a but in, like, a weird way. Like,
and it's very important, because what's really, the message he's trying to communicate to y'all is that he's still not player, but he's still a hater.
It's hard to hear him say that.
I'm sick, you couldn't measure my with 6 rulers. Hold up, chula, I'm all about getting loose.
All right, Chris, express your concerns of the hypocrisy of Fat Joe, please.
Fat Joe's not...
I mean, not Fat Joe, sorry, big pun, fuck me.
I just found it weird how he's like, I'm still not a player after this. But,
right,
like,
so...
hold on. I do get it, though, because there was a time where I just wanted to fuck around and just have fun, and it was like, I'm labeled as this and this, and he makes a point, though.
It's more like this. A player is a guy who lies and manipulates to get the pussy. So it'd be like, okay, so check it. I walk into the club.
And I feel like it's more of like a betrayal kind of thing, too. Like,
so it's like, imagine me right now. I walk in and I talk about how my podcast has 100,000 subscribers and I'm making this much money, and girl, if you come with me, I can put you on and this is going to happen. And then we smash, and then I wake up in the morning and I bounce out and she never hears from me again. Versus what he's saying is, look, I got all these accomplishments. I'm just doing my thing. I love to fuck. For some reason, women are fucking me now. Ever since I found, well, he's pretty clear. Ever since he found Fat Joe, every pretty brown hoe wants to get down low.
And, like, he describes, like, the range of colors of girls that he likes to, like, sleep with.
He makes it very clear that he loves to eat pussy, and he wants to make sure that you come, too. He's not just in it for him. Like, I feel like for him, sex is a sport. It's like he wants to be the best. He wants his magic dick to serve everybody that it can possibly serve.
Okay, I get
and
that.
he is just, so he's not a player. He just wants to fuck. He's just a rich guy balling out, loving it.
But you know, he's not like saying, you know, promising anybody anything. He's just saying, like, listen, this is just
you
my,
can tell
just my D.
That given his size, it's probably something that only came with the wealth, and that he probably struggled to get fine ladies at a younger age, and this is probably just him enjoying the feast he's waited his whole life for.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's just because
he's also
of the
a smooth
wealth.
talker.
Like,
very smooth.
Yeah. Look,
so he's a smart guy. He's sweet. He's
everybody wants to do it
like,
at one point.
And he's Puerto Rican. So he's got that Latino mix. You know what I'm saying?
He's very smooth.
Like, you got all that. And,
like, and honestly, that bridge here, okay, like about the song, like
it just sounds like a hit. It just sounds like a hit.
Like, seriously, that is possibly one of the smoothest things. Like, that gets stuck in your head. It just plays. The music video is ridiculous. I wanted to bring it up because Fat Joe looks like such a creeper as he's peeping through the peephole, spying on people, trying to just, like, I don't get it. It's like the video's going cool, yeah, whatever, they cross clubs, blah, blah, blah. But then Fat Joe shows up, and it's just weird. And I thought I'd bring that to the attention of everyone. Maybe somebody can explain why it's funny. YouTube, I don't get it. I didn't like it, but I love the song.
What was he peeping at?
He was just looking through this whole these people dance in the club. It kind of reminded me of the scene in the Porky's movies where the guy like sticks his thing through. He's watching the girls in the showers and like those creepy like. That's what it made me think of. Like, good on you, Fat Joe. I'm like, but still, this track's a 5. I have been listening to this all year. I put it on. It's one of those songs where you just feel fly when you hear it. Like, you don't have to be fly all the time, but you put this on and you start strutting a little bit when you walk because it's just so smooth. And he's so smooth. And his flow, it's not so aggressive now. Now we're in fun, Big Pun. You just want to hang out with him and, you know, chill with him. And he just seems so approachable here, which is really different than, let's say, the hostile, I'm gonna fucking kill you rhymes we've just encountered.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, this one it's a hit. Like, right away, you hear it, and it has, like the beginning, like, part, like, the intro of the song, it has that, like, 90s feel to it, like, right away. And, I don't know, right away, you just know it's gonna be a hit. It's so good. I gave it a 5 on 5.
Nice. I gave it a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was really, really great. The only reason why I took off a 0.5 is just because I don't feel like you should have to validate player or because you just want to fuck and you like fucking. look, if you've got a girlfriend or a wife, that's one thing. But if you're single and you're just fucking, I don't think you should really have to.
It's about the honesty, right?
Look, I respect the honesty and I respect that.
But dude, what he's saying is if you're trying to get laid and he's trying to establish, look, don't judge me like you're judging a player, and that's an insult. If you call me a player, I'd be like, dude, nah. I was straight up, you know, like you tell somebody what's up and you're telling the truth, and then you're not an asshole, which is a player. You're just a guy who likes to fuck. I actually think, given what the word player implies, it's a fair distinction. He's
playing you, but I don't think that's what he's doing. You know, he's being open and honest and saying,
and I would say the lack of misogyny in this song also adds to his credit. He doesn't sound like he just wants to go smack whatever. He wants to fuck people who want to fuck him. There's respect. There's things like that.
And he gives back. He's
and
not just taking.
The player is a manipulative asshole. So I think it's a nomenclature thing, and that might be what it is for why you said that. But player is a bad word, in my opinion.
I've never liked that word.
So
unless it's like you're playing video games and you're playing
given his reputation for ladies, fair track. Following up that is the intermission. So following his love-making escapades, we got to get ourselves back into the mindset to be gangsta-ass killers again. And this to me reminded me of like a palate cleanser at a fancy meal when you're changing courses. And it was really well produced, and it served its purpose. It wasn't too aggressive or too whatever, and it's kind of like an in-between of a romancy vibe and a harsh vibe, and it helps you get into what the next track's going to bring. So I gave it a 4. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I mean, this was, 22 seconds? Like, it was really short. For me, I just thought it was, like, weird, and, like, I was like, why is this here? I didn't really see the point. I didn't realize that it maybe was, like, that sort of breakup, but... Like, I was like, it's song 6, bro. Like, you don't need to have an intermission already. Like, you've got 24 tracks. Like, you know, at least if there was, like, intermission 2 or intermission 3.
Right.
But there's not. Like, it's just that. And so it just felt a little too early and weird and off, like, out of place for me.
Fair enough. I gave this song a 3 on 5. It does what it's supposed to do. I just kind of took it as background wait time music. I just kind of, like, had a reloading screen in a way. That's if you want to look at it that. But other than that, nothing else.
All right, so the Dream Shatterer is what it flows into. So yeah, like I was saying, harsh barrage of lyrical onslaughts and...
Another track where he is basically saying that if you try to come up against him in the rap game, he's going to fucking shatter your dreams. He's got impeccable lyrics.
He clearly perceives himself as one of the greater legends, considering some of the comparisons he made. Like, he sees himself as good as somebody like Nat King Cole or Michael Jordan or...
Yeah.
And so he knows he is top tier when it comes to this lyrics game.
There's nobody more gangster than him.
Right.
And then he also talks about, like, having, you know, don't fuck with him because he'll cut your dick off. And, like, you'll wake up without a dick.
You know what? He's just proven to be savage.
But that he's interpolating from another track later on this album, which is crazy. He samples himself.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing. Like, that line was just so baller. He's like, fuck it. That's the hook on this song.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, it sounded kind of like it should have been in, like, an old movie, or it had, like, a harp or flute or some, like, stuff in it. And, like, it was, like, a weird kind of cool, catchy sound. I liked it a lot.
It didn't get boring.
Nope.
It didn't drag on. It did what it had to do to get you back into that gangster killing mood, that, you know, ready to sell drugs, get back into the streets. And it was fucking hard. I gave it a 5 on 5.
Yeah, me too. I liked it a lot. It was a really cool sound.
I don't feel like he was much of a drug dealer. Wasn't he a little bit more of a robbing,
I wasn't trying to say, like, I wasn't implying that he was a drug dealer. I'm just saying, like, we're getting back into the mentality of the streets.
I mean,
like,
maybe he was a drug dealer. I don't really know what kind of crimes he committed.
Well, like,
but
if he's running with Fat Joe, and this might be my ignorance, please don't kill me. But
maybe you're right.
There was a lot of talk with Fat Joe where he's selling bricks and moving shit.
Fair,
you know?
fair.
And, like,
you're right.
Not trying to make an ass out of me here, but...
Nah, and then what I do... On this track particularly, you hear his breathing. A lot of the... in like the back, and that's unfortunately probably due to his size, because
You know
it's
what?
not so easy to breathe at that size.
You know what? I think like I didn't mind that so much as I usually do on some tracks, just because I feel like the tone of the track, it's like gasps of air in a sense of like realization
I
of
feel like
shock in a bit.
I feel like it's more like he's struggling to get that last bit of air he needs to finish the line proper. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I feel like they're loud when they happen. Like when you notice them, they're so loud that it's unnoticeable, and it throws me off a bit. But it's forgivable. Like I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm just noticing shit.
Yeah.
I still give this a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was great energy. It's fun, and like I'm not necessarily coming to him for anything more at this point than when I want bars and lyrics and harsh, intense flows, because they're fun to listening. They're like, it's fun to listen to them.
He's good, yeah. 5 on 5.
Nice.
And you? 5?
5 on 5. Yep.
All right. Well, punish me, bitch.
That's not the name of the song.
My boy's Camaro. I didn't bother, but you probably find your lover dead. You robbed me of my honor. You ain't.
I'm not a foodie. I just eat a lot. You know, Big H is down to eat lots of food. You know, baby. Hey, yo, I'm still not a hater, but you're still a player.
And whose rhyme was that?
Anyway.
Mine.
So, so I really like Punish Me. This may be one of the coolest tracks on this album. Why? Because we're kind of leaving behind all the typical like rappy shit, and we're going into more of like a personal story.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of noteworthy things about this breakup song. First of all, it starts very similar to a lot of the other ones. He falls for girl likes his money, things are going in a certain way, girl cheats on him, betrays his trust, and it kind of ends. Right? And then in the second verse, he's just trying to get access to his kid and be like a respectable
he had a kid with her or whatever,
and stuff.
And yeah, he just wants to be a responsible father, like, and he knows how important it is to have a father in like your child's life.
Moral at this
point. It's pretty amazing. It's very different from any other song I've heard before.
And then on the third verse, it's again kind of more into just, you know how, like he's not hating on her per se. He's kind of like
gave her everything.
He's
recognizing
like,
and you still cheated. He's like,
you lost your chance of being with me, right? Mm-hmm. I can move on. I'm having all this great life now, and things are going on. You want it. You wish you had me back right now, which is super clear by the chorus. And I love the punish me puns.
I didn't catch that. I got a little off-sided on this song. I took it. I got his verses. Like clearly, those were defined clearly. But I felt like Miss Jones was a contrast to him in like playing a role of the girl kind of asking Big Pun to come back.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay, so I'm not wrong. I got
not only were you not wrong, we agreed. And anyway, that's fine. So yeah, she clearly wants him back again. Like come back, you know, because you know when he's fucking, he's punishing them, right? So that was the pun. Get it? Big pun.
Punish me.
But I noticed the respect he has for her. It isn't like, fuck you, bitch, I want you to die and shit. It's like, you know what? You had your chance. You had this and you lost it. And we're going to go our separate ways.
Sleeping with, like, his friend, like, in like, his friend's car, his Cadillac or whatever.
They really all, like, fucking in cars on this album.
Yeah, and, you know, he was just like, well, that's what I get for, like, being with an immoral woman, and
then he just moves on, and he's so polite, and he doesn't call her a bitch, really. He doesn't call her names. He does kind of allude that if she doesn't let him access to his kid, he's going to have to kill her, which is fine, because that's how Pun handles stuff. Yeah. But he doesn't want to. And it really is about being a father, and it's not about anything else. Like don't get in my way.
As a father figure, I think like I can respect him saying that. I don't.
And that's the point. I think this is a 5. This is one of the best versions of this track that I've heard because it's so wisely done. It's honestly like he's trying to be a role model as opposed to being a destructive force while telling deeply personal shit.
It's not the first time I've heard a track like this. I mean, there has been other tracks where you get the guy's perspective.
No, we've had a whole bunch,
but not as descriptive and not as
it's
presented.
Well, it's the lack of hate.
Maybe I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking about this now, but like maybe. Like also because like those like family values are maybe just different from a lot of the different types of music that we've been listening to, and like maybe that because like his background is Puerto Rican, maybe like they have a different like family value and like they you know, maybe they really like,
Maybe.
you know, care that the father has to
Or
be in
maybe
the kid's life, whereas, you know, maybe in different cultures it's not such a big deal.
Well, I
And-
know that in a lot of like, this is just a personal experience. A lot of other cultures are very family oriented. I feel like North
But
America, or like
This is a matter
Western
of like
civilization, is a lot.
every
like,
other
That's true, we're a
version
bit
of.
cold.
But if we're
Yeah.
just talking about these types of songs, normally they're a lot meaner. And
Yes.
this was really polite almost. And really just desperate. Like he's trying to Hail Mary and prove that he is an adequate father within this song. I don't know. I think it's pretty
God.
Yeah,
dope
I gave-
on
I
multiple
gave this one-
levels.
of the new Kesha song Prayer.
Sure.
Not
But
quite.
it's a 5. I think it's one of the
I
coolest
gave
ones.
this one a 5 as well.
Straight up, it's a 5.
All right, and then it's Pakinamac.
Pakinamac.
Oh, it's
Pakinamac.
Oh, I didn't even
Pakinamac.
make
Pakinamac.
Pun pulls up, and some shit's happening, and somebody
Wait,
disrespects him.
Hold on, wait. Is there what? Is Pun pulling up, or is Pun there talking
Anyways.
with a dude and
You know
it's someone
what?
else?
I don't know.
People
Like,
arrive. There's
and
definitely
then there's
car
a
that arrives.
shootout, and a guy gets hit in the leg, and Pun's like, "Well, you're not dead yet," and he's like, "No, I'm not." Then he
No,
kills
Pun
him.
shot his boy.
I know. Pun shot the guy in the leg. Yes.
Yes. No.
Yes.
Pun.
But then he
There's
shot
two
someone
guys.
else.
There's two guys.
Did Pun shoot a guy in the leg?
Pun
Yes.
killed the dude who tried to kill Pun,
But-
and
but
then
the guy in the leg was
in
the
meantime
second
of
guy he
killing the
killed.
dude, Pun shot his boy in the leg, and then he's like,
And
"Are
then-
you good?" And then his boy's like, "Yo, I'll be fine." And then he goes, "Fuck it," and kills his boy.
And then he lets the other guy run away.
No, nobody runs away. They're both dead.
He kills everyone.
He kills both people. Then
Who's
there's
the-
a third kid. There's a kid
Yeah.
that shows up, the 14-year-old, and he's like, "How old are you?" And he goes, "I'm 14,
So
Pun," and he's like, "Go
I-
fuck off."
I was trying to tell the part about how he shot the guy in the leg. I don't know what you're,
Well,
what
because
you're
you
correcting me
neglected
on.
to mention that 2 people died. It's an important thing.
It's-
Like he
it's really-
kills his boy,
in
bro.
general, I think the more relevant part of this is that he's so fucking ruthless that when the guy was shot in the leg and he clearly learned his lesson, he was still gonna cap him, but he shows compassion to this 14-year-old by giving him money. I think the other guy's death is virtually irrelevant, personally.
Well, no, the first guy's death is virtually relevant because that's the guy who tried to kill Pun. My issue is that Pun killed his friend, his own, like his family, his bro. Like
Why was he chilling with them?
that's where I was asking you. That's what I was trying to confirm with. Was Pun's friend chilling with the other dude, or was it just Pun and the other
Pun's
dude pulled
friend
up?
was the 14-year-old, actually.
No,
No,
there's
that was
3.
a
There's
different
4
person
guys. There's
because he
Pun.
kills
There's
that
2
guy.
victims,
What?
and there's the 14.
Yeah, whatever. Then it's because he was
Anyways,
there.
there's gunfire. People get killed, and then he ends up killing everybody, and then he
And
like
yelling
leaves
out,
and
like,
make sure like nobody
nobody's-
saw anything.
yeah. Whatever. I give it a 3. It did its
Yeah.
thing. It moved along.
Yeah, he's ruthless.
I don't know. I thought it was scary, and like if this is like part of his real life, then that's really fucking scary. I gave it a 4.5.
Oh shit.
Well, Bonnie, you ain't a killer.
But I'm packing a Mac.
Still be in your fucking dreams. You ain't a killer. You're still learning how to walk from New York to Cali.
So, in my opinion, this song is Mr. Pun calling everyone on their shit.
Yep.
Yep.
And he comes in hard, but he's also saying, like, I've been there and I've done that. And because I've been there and I have done that, when I look you in the eyes, I'm able to tell the difference between if you have been there and done that. And then he adds in the extra element of Jake snitches, right? I think we're G enough now to say Jake's. And so he has to deal with that extra complication. So anybody who meets, it's not even that they could be a friend or an enemy. It could even be an undercover cop and all the problems that are going on. And honestly,
And, like, this is like his life, and this is like the consequences of his actions at this point. It's like this is the life that he has to
He's
lead, and like
validating.
he's not asking for any sort of forgiveness. He's just kind of like, well, this is it.
but I think it's also a criticism of the amount of people in the hip hop industry who claim to be killers and who claim to be this life, and because you gotta
And he
imagine
also says
it.
that he was super smart, and like that he was on the path, and like he was smart enough, and like had, I guess people were telling him that he was smart enough that he could go to university. And, like, he could have chosen that path, but he went on this path instead.
But, like, it makes me wonder what the state of hip-hop was like, really like. Like, we don't understand that yet, because we've only cherry-picked some albums, and in 99, I'm, like, 11 years old? I'm nowhere near the hip-hop
98.
scene. Whatever, 98, sorry. So I'm, like, 10, and I'm nowhere near the hip-hop scene. But I can only imagine how these guys feel with all these dudes popping up all over, making all sorts of kinds of rap. And so if we look at the world now, I know dudes who, like, over the years, they work at grocery stores or McDonald's, and they're basically rapping like they drug dealers. And then I know the guys who are drug dealers rapping like drug dealers, and there tends to be a difference. The ones who are better rappers tend to not be real. So they tend to do really well commercially, and I find...
Interesting.
And it's just a little observation of local stuff. Like, the real drug dealers tend to be too busy drug dealing to be great at rapping. And I feel like there's a lot of fakeness in the industry. Without trying to throw shots at anybody in particular, it's just there's a lot of fake people. A lot of people who will say anything on a record because it's the hot thing. So I can only imagine that a guy like him who's been through some real shit, seeing all sorts of shit pop off, especially with the East Coast, West Coast bullshit, everybody and their brother must be trying to be a rapper,
so
right?
It doesn't matter where you're... let me see. It doesn't matter where you're from. Where's your gat.
Right. So, and you got to just imagine on the block, if there's 10,000 people, how many of them are actually trying to be rappers in that moment, right? Yeah. So it makes me wonder when I hear a track like that. I gave this another 5. I think the beat's amazing. I think it is really depth. There's depth to him. He mentions Jay-Z on one song. I don't know if it's this one. But it kind of, I get where he's coming from. He's definitely a deeper thinker than the average rapper and how he constructs this type of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave this one a 5 on 5 as well. I thought it was really great, very honest, very raw and true to who he is. And, you get to know kind of where he's from and, like, the life that he's living and, like, the consequences of all the actions that he's had up until this point.
Yeah. Well, it's a straight 5 on 5. He's honest on it. He's real. And, I mean, I wouldn't really want to fuck with him, to tell you the truth.
Fair enough.
Well, you wouldn't want to be messing with me either because I'm a Pakinamac too.
Part 2, Skit.
Yeah.
Pakinamac, 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 Pakinamac,
Pakinamac.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is really fun. So now we get the other half of this skit where Cuban picks him up and they get
Cuban
in.
Link.
Yep, and they get in. And he's just like, well, how did you get out of it? He's like, well, I was packing a Mac in the back of an ack. And he's like, what? Well, I'm packing a Mac in the back of the ack. And then it's just them kind of like,
they just
that's
keep
great.
Going.
Packing the back in the back of the ack, packing the back of the and it's really fun. And it just reminds you
It's just boys being boys, having fun. Like,
but
it's
like,
very cute.
To think about what just happened.
Exactly.
Like, just to be like, okay, so you just killed 2 people, you just did whatever, and
now you're just laughing, like, packing the back in the back
and,
of the
like,
ack.
Cuban Link didn't even, like, acknowledge anything.
Yeah,
he was like,
flinch.
why do you have blood?
Well, no,
man, let me get my joint. Like, let's just
his
relax.
joint in that case was his gun.
Oh.
His gun. So he was like, I'm up, let's go kill some. He's like, nah, I already handled it. How'd you handle it? Well, packing the back in the back. And then I think it does show a lot.
It seems like it would be like a skit from like a movie or from like Quentin Tarantino or like something random. And like
he says on multiple times on the album that the fun part's the killing. That's not the chore. And I think it's kind of like putting it in. Like, he loved what he just did. Now he's pumped. He's ready to go. He's having a good time. Let's go write some rhymes. And that's kind of what I pictured. I gave this a 4 on 5.
I gave this a 4 on 5 as well.
Yep, 4 on 5.
All right, let's talk about the Caribbean Connection.
All right.
Spring, but now I'm a king, so it's more than money. All the honeys used to call me Bunny because
Was Wyclef Jean always hard like that?
Right?
I was asking
that was
myself
literally
the same
that was what I had
thing.
written. I'm like, wow. I'm like, he sounds a lot harder than I remember.
Somebody just requested us to do the score, and I know it's not the first time they've requested. Maybe we should look into looking at some Fugees or something. Because, man, Wyclef came in, and it felt so
like,
fucking... It felt like...
Bodied.
It felt like he was fully capable.
Yes.
But he looked funny doing it.
Only because of what we know of him now. I mean, did you listen to Wyclef back then?
No, but
So,
I
I mean,
listened
if
to
we
his
did-
last album, and he's definitely not that.
No.
But
Well,
I see him
yeah.
on Twitter, and he's like one of those big activist types.
But he's clearly changed over the years.
yeah, I know, but this is the Wyclef
like,
I know.
But like the Fugees came out in like
Fugees.
whatever. They came out in
Early 90s.
And yeah, and so like, like they should have been hard back then.
Well,
like,
yeah,
I
but
don't know.
it's weird to hear him hard. Anyway,
It's weird. It's definitely
I definitely can tell you that Big Pun was so quiet compared to the beat that I had a lot of trouble hearing him. Like, the beat just drowned him out.
Yep.
Wyclef was mixed better, and it was okay. I feel like it's a little of the we're willing to do anything it takes to win type track. And he makes it abundantly clear, like, what he's willing to go through. Wyclef comes in, does the same kind of thing. I do like the the idea of how Wyclef saying let's launder some money. Let's not just be stupid here.
Yeah.
Let's apply some intelligence.
Yep.
And
They're smart criminals.
I give it a 4. I don't think it's anything exceptional. It's like if you're really into this, go put this on.
Look, if it was to be fair, I gave it a 4 on 5 as well. It is a good song. Wyclef really did fucking impress me, given what we think of him today.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the fact that we can't hear Big Pun on this, it just, I don't know. It's lacking a little bit for me.
I don't know. For me, when I heard like Big Pun, like I just thought he sounded kind of obnoxious, like in this one for some reason. I don't know. Like, and then when he was saying like, "What's the dealio?" I was like, okay, that's like, I don't know. It just sounded weird. And yeah, Wyclef was definitely a standout on this one. But it's a 4 on 5. It's not great. It's not my favorite, but it's good.
I do like the hook. It's one of the best hooks on the album.
It's a smart song about like politics and stuff.
But like the chorus is well played. It's got that little Spanish line, and then, which is, what is it? There's all the work but not enough money or something like that. And anyway, it was 4 on 5. I don't have much more to say. There's a lot more songs still.
Yep. Let's check out that Glamour live.
Yeah.
Must be fair, Mother Hammer had to smoke fun. Get the motherfucking guns. Since now I've become the...
This is like just past the halfway point on this album, just in terms of track count. Thanks, Big Pun.
Yep.
I'm not really complaining. I'm actually feeling this shit.
Yeah.
So this is one of the 2 posse jams, as we'll call them on the
All
album.
the Terror Squad.
Exactly.
But I like how they all come. They have their different style, different flow, different sound, different vibe. But I like how it didn't really. The song didn't get me the way I thought it was going to. I thought they were just going to talk about wanting the glamour life, and I feel like it was a contrast on what people think the glamour life is, because they're really violent in terms of like.
I think it was a little bit more of they want this life, this like kind of drug kingpin world that they're going for.
Yeah.
And they are all in their own ways describing the various lengths they're willing to go to achieve their end goals, to get their version, because each one has their own version of the glamour life.
Right.
Yeah.
Of which I really like Cuban Link. He starts us off really well, kind of like a smoother Big Pun. Triple Seis, I could do without him. His verse, it wasn't as good for me.
Well, for me, like, I mean, it was definitely, Big Pun that stood out.
I'm impressed with Fat Joe.
Because Fat Joe, Cuban Link, Big Pun, and Armageddon, to me, Armageddon was well placed.
Yes.
He has a different type of voice. The beat changes for him a little bit. And I would say those 4, it's not like any of them stood out. In fact, it was because we just did that new Fat Joe and Remy Ma album, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we got some bad Fat Joe. Like some real bad 2017 Fat Joe doesn't try anymore, Fat Joe. And then you hear this.
No, but this is what I'm saying. This was
holy
insane.
shit.
Like, Fat Joe had bars. Fat Joe was like, oh shit, I'm actually intimidated. Now if Fat Joe's...
Now Remy Ma has bars.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just saying, I thought the 4 of them together were really great. And if Triple Seis was not on this... No, I didn't want Triple Seis, so I cut him off in my utopia.
Fine.
I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just that one guy, I didn't like him as much as the other 4. And I'd say for the small-time posse jam where you put on your own squad, it's really good. And it made me respect Fat Joe more. And I would check out all 4 of those guys that I liked on this one. So for me, it's a 4 on 5. 4 good verses out of 5. 4 on 5. I do like the hook.
Fair.
The hook is also nice.
Fair.
And I like how is this the one where Pun's verse starts and it just sounds like the hook until he breaks away and goes into something different?
I can't remember at the moment.
I can't recall, yeah.
Maybe. I like that if it's this one.
Well, I mean, they're like singing about how they're badass and how they're talented and everything else, and it's definitely like a squad song, and it's the longest song on the album. It's, I think, 4:43, which isn't like terribly long, but it's still the longest, and it's like, because it's got all the features, I guess. But it was good. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was enjoyable. 4 on 5.
Nice. I actually gave it a 5 on 5. I thought everybody was really cool. Different vibes, different flows. Even though Trey Seis wasn't as good as the other ones, he still had his own little flair and his own little spark.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Triple Seis?
Yeah.
My apologies.
It's Trey songs. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah, Trey's song, Trey the Truth, whatever's going on. Anyway, the point being is that it's a really good song, and for what it is, I gave it a 5 on 5. I thought this was really good.
Nice.
All right. Chris, we're going to lock you up with some capital punishment.
Oh, great.
It's so bad there's no pizza delivery, bruh. No, really, this song is ridiculous. It's like, what I like about Big Pun, or I like the songs that are less about the flossing and the proving you're the best, and the ones that decide to take a more serious tone and actually talk about stuff like the environment you're living in, the unfair system, the way the cops harass you, and all of that shit.
I'm glad he took this approach on the title track. I'm not gonna lie. Like, in terms of what he's been doing on every song, not discrediting it, it's all great, but for the title track, I'm really glad that he went more about like politics and society and where he lives and how they're like being treated and how minorities are like just forcibly getting lower pays and not being able to rise up.
And he's just watching like the youth around him like grow into murderers, and it's just terrifying. Have to.
Like, they're required to, because frankly you'll get hired and then fired and then hired, and then you end up getting picked up as a gunner because it's the only job you can find. And like, it's grim. And then Prospect does a very good job on the hook, kind of selling his thing, and it's got one of those beats that just ensnares you, and it's got the right kind of gloomy outlook that comes in. And I feel like what's interesting about Pun at this point is that his flow doesn't change that much. It's kind of just a constant barrage of heavy rhyming and stuff.
But it's not bad.
Not at all. But he's able to apply it in different ways. So he's able to take that complex formula where in the one case it could be about how he's the best, or in this next case it's about how he's putting cum on titties. And in this case it's just describing that the shit is not fair, and you know what? He's going to fight for what he feels is right. Like, he is the Punisher. He's not just a criminal. He's a criminal because he has to be. He's a vigilante of sorts.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I thought this track made my noggin think a little bit on top of just being tickled by excellent rhyming. This shit is, for me, a clear 5 on 5. One of the top tracks on this album.
Oh, wow. Like, I found this one, like, it was very good. It was very powerful and smart. But, like, for me, like, I wasn't, like, captivated by it. Like, I liked it, but it felt like it dragged on for me. And maybe it was just, like, at this point in, like, the album, like, things were starting to, like, kind of get, like, a little draggy for me. But, I don't know, this one wasn't, like, the best. It was still a good song. I gave it a 4 on 5.
Nice. I gave this a 5 on 5. It was hard-hitting. It was direct. I liked how he expressed what he sees, his surroundings, and just being true to like himself as well, and not trying to like hide any shady shit. It was awesome. 5 on 5.
I liked the fact that he also shouted out his sister for like having her shit together, and I liked that.
But she's the anomaly. That was the interesting part. What is it? She bought a house on no credit or something like that, and that nobody else gets this, and it doesn't happen, and that's a sad thing almost. Like, it's just. You're right. That was a nice.
Yeah.
Just to show that there is success stories, but they're anecdotally small. I don't know. It was a
sweet.
Brilliant track.
It was definitely uncensored.
Skit. All right. So this is like an interview. I imagine that maybe this even happened. Like, this was on Funkmaster Flex's show, which I believe is Hot 97. I could be wrong. And so then he puts this on, and it's basically validation that the rumors are true. Big Pun is smashing. He's getting odd action. Him and Fat Joe are doing all this stuff.
Are like two big naked bears in the fucking forest.
But he says that Biggie gave him like tips and like what to do and stuff, like, you know, back in the heyday. And
like Biggie kind of gave us all tips in the music and you know how in some of his certain songs. But like
I could totally do without this. Just putting it out there, 2 on 5. It's not terrible, but it's boring.
This one made me laugh. Like, I was laughing listening to it because it was so funny. Like, he's just like bragging and like being honest, and like it's so ridiculous that it's funny. But like how great, you know, he is at getting girls, and like how him and his crew just like bang all these girls, and we have orgies, and like like Funkmaster Flex is just like, it's not a fun topic necessarily, but it's funny. Okay. And like Funkmaster Flex is like laughing hysterically, and Like just like the way
Because
that.
you're probably looking at how big he is and what he
Yeah,
looks like, and it's
yeah.
probably just.
But it's just funny, like just like their conversation. It's just a funny conversation. I gave this one a 4.5 on 5.
Okay.
I gave it a 3 on 5.
All right. Well, before there was a still, but this time I'm just not a player.
Ain't a play out this fucking life.
So it's like the other track.
It's validating. There's
It's-
not much to it.
There's no validating here. It's the same thing as the other track. I think he's trying to differentiate that there's a type of man that likes to get his jiggy on, and then there's a player asshole. And I personally love this distinction. I think it's worth noting that he
Like
has.
to hear it again.
It was a bit of a repeat.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's still groovy. I think his flows are still
It was
fun.
groovy
This
because
one's
it
a little
had
more
like the OJ's
explicit.
Darlin' Darlin' in it, which is like a 1960s
Yeah,
track,
but
I
it's
think.
also got shit like he's getting more. The other one was more of a radio single. Like,
But this one's talking more like specifics, like about
is
like the torture chamber that like he has, and like he's bringing girls to it, and like
I-
that kind of
could
stuff.
also
see,
be
I
like
just
a
I
play
just
on
like
word
no.
reference.
See, I
think
picture
that's
him. He's
straight to
just
the
like a
point.
freaky guy, right?
I don't know. I swear to God, if you start thinking he puts them on like this slap thing and pulls them.
Why,
and
man?
shit, like,
I would do that shit.
oh my Jesus.
I would absolutely. That sounds sexy and fun. Like he's describing scenarios I would want to live
I
out,
just see
man.
Bonnie just like being stretched out.
Let's not
See,
put an
you
image
put it
anywhere.
there. Let's keep. Let's not
not.
go there. But yes, but at the same time, I totally find this song. It's fun. Like honestly, he
Okay,
makes
fine.
sex sound interesting. He makes it sound like it's raw, it's animalistic, it's all that shit that you got from the Boots Kesha song. Only I'm getting that from Big Pun's I'm Not a Player because he is being honest with his shit. There's a certain degree of respectability with it.
He definitely has a love for women, and that's
Now
what
listen,
the song is about.
and if the 3 women that happen to be there all want to blow him at the same time, and he just happens to say yes, that doesn't make him a player. He's not lying. He's not going out of his way.
Okay, so what?
He's
He's just
It's
giving
fair,
them what
yes.
they want.
Yeah,
By definition,
but
yes.
but he's not being a player. A player is somebody who manipulates the situation. He's just sitting there like, I'm now famous. I'm now rolling with the terror squad. All of a sudden, the women want me,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, people started talking shit. So you know what? This is just in the same way that Kesha had her song talking shit to the haters. This is him just talking shit to the haters. Think about it. It's right after the skit where it's clearly a hot topic.
enough.
People are going around talking about how Pun is fucking a bunch of people. Not that Funkmaster Flex is there.
That's true.
When you
that's
really
true.
consider reputations and stuff, plus he's got a wife, which has probably got to complicate shit in some way or another.
Well, yeah, there was a talk where I think it's either this song
No,
or
it's another song. We
another
haven't
one
got
where
there
there's
yet.
yeah.
But all I'm saying is that it's, I think for the time and for especially with the general reputation of hip hop, like frankly, as we said on our Kesha review again, how we
Go watch the Kesha review.
so many of these men out there are just constantly flossing and saying whatever they got to say to get
And
women
lying.
and lying and cheating and it's like I'm gonna say whatever and he's just I'm not that. I'm fly. I got the magic dick. Let's go. And I respect that direct approach. I feel like he is the
He's
kind of
very
guy
honest.
that you can put some faith into. I gave this track though a 4.5 on 5 because I did not like the chorus as much as the other one, and his I'm not a player but I fuck a lot mixed with that other style of music just kind of didn't blend so well for me.
I don't know. I gave it a 4 on 5 just because I don't know. It sounded very repetitive in terms of the other song, and there wasn't really much distinction and difference for me.
Yeah, same sort of feeling. It was kind of a bit of like a repeat. I also gave it a 4 on 5.
I will admit it was a little bit more graphic.
It was
But-
definitely more fun. Torture Chambers.
Radio hit, graphic single.
I'm
All
okay
right.
with graphic single, both, but I did give the other one a higher mark. But you know what's fun? You know what's really fun?
Twinz.
Deep cover 98.
That's might be even better leaving niggas kneeling on their right knee. Spike Lee couldn't paint a better.
This is
A really, really good song.
It's like, when does he breathe?
No, fuck When He Breathes. I want to talk about Fat Joe. Like, Pun, we get it. You're great. We got that. Like, this is just another dope bar track on Pun on terms of Big Pun. But
Okay.
I'm
there's,
really
there's like a
impressed
lot
with
of back
Fat
and
Joe.
forth between them.
That's
Fat
really
Joe's
cool.
kind of like the mentor here, right? Like
Yeah.
Fat Joe is putting Big Pun on this track.
But
This
what
is
the
like-
hell happened?
This is like the Eminem Dr. Dre relationship
Right.
where like the Snoop Dogg Dr. Dre relationship, I should say, where Big Pun is kind of playing the role of Snoopy, and Snoopy shows up in the video to validate this is all good and kosher.
Yeah.
And then you have, Fat Joe. Fat Joe obviously knew how to rap. It's just that what we're seeing. Look, we had 2000s Fat Joe growing up. That wasn't apparently this, and it was shittier than this.
2 years. It was 2 years. The 2000 was 2 years after this.
Yeah, but Big Pun died between then and now, right?
Yeah,
and so shit changed in their lives, and their crew got split up, and then there was beefs, and then there's a lot of controversy surrounding Fat Joe from that area. But then Lean Back came out, bro.
Yeah, I remember Lean Back.
But all I'm saying is this is all before then, in the 90s, when, like, Joe's been around for, like, the early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. So I knew he was allegedly had to do something, and they obviously have a good chemistry and comparable styles.
Yeah, that's true. They definitely blend well together.
And they do the back and forth thing in a good way. I like what I wasn't the hugest fan of the chorus. Like, I feel like it will grow on me over time, but maybe it's just because I love the original so much. And when you're dabbling with a cover like this, it's hard to not hear, yeah, you don't stop, because there's 187, and then you're hearing this, and it's aggressiver, and it's harder, and it is them, and they're doing it justice, but it doesn't,
it's not Snoopy.
Either
That's
way,
true.
I gave this a 5 because I thought it was impressive. I thought they sound well together. I thought it was a brilliant way to bless this beat, and it was a bold move that could have fucking failed in their faces real hard, and it didn't. It worked real well.
In the bold move context, it is a really, really great fucking outcome in terms of what they did with it. As well, I like how they made a cover to it, actually. I feel like they were just kind of shouting out to Snoop Dogg as well, trying to help each other out in a way. I can do this. I can show what you got. Shout out to Dr. Dre a little bit. He is the one that produced the original track. All in all, I like both their flows. Again, I'm really impressed with Fat Joe back at this time than what we heard recently. Right. But other than that, 5 on 5.
Yeah. At this point, same sort of feel. Like they were both really great. Right away, like Big Pun, like blew me out of the water again, like with his like ability to like just keep going. Like he just doesn't stop in his raps, and like it's just crazy. You're like, when is he gonna run out of air? And he just keeps going.
It's called breathe through your nose technique.
Anyways, it sounded good. But like at this point, like maybe again, like for me, like it's starting to feel like a bit draggy, and like this song felt longer than it was, and it's not like really that long of a song. But like it was still very impressive. It was just sort of getting like boring a bit for me. So at this point, I gave it a 4 on 5.
You can't breathe fast enough through your nose for this technique. Anyway, the next one's the Rain and the Sun interlude.
Yep.
This was a cool skit. It was quickly, in my opinion, them saying rap actually counts as a style of singing, and y'all need to take it seriously. Because Pun is saying, like, well, I don't know how to sing. I can't do what you guys are doing. And they're saying, like, but from our point of view, the way you do it...
Yeah, Prospect is there, like, being like, listen, like, I've got your back. Like,
I heard your voice. I heard your bars. Like,
you're
amazing.
Good.
Like, you
but what you're doing is singing, is, I think, the point. And you should just not be worried about whether or not you can sing, because you can. Your rapping is singing. It does something with your voice that mesmerizes people and shit. And you need to be aware of that, because at the time, I mean, we spent a whole decade of people questioning in even a legal capacity if hip-hop is even music.
For me, like, I took this, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just, like ignorant about, like, what was happening at the time. But, like, for me, the way I, like, interpreted this was that maybe Big Pun was, like, depressed or something about whatever was going on, and that he was, seeing, like, the darkness, and it was raining, like, there's rain sounds. So, it's kind of, like, it kind of gives you that sad, like, whatever kind of feeling. And Prospect is there giving him, like, this, like, therapy, kind of. Like, he's saying, like, listen, I've got you. He's kind of, like, giving him help and good, positive words, and saying that he's got him and that he supports him. But it is about music, but it is, it sounds like it could be about other things as well.
Yeah.
So I thought it was, like, very honest and open, and it was different from something else I'd ever heard. I gave this one a 4.5.
I give it a 3. I felt it was a bit long, and at this point, we're kind of like, we're deep into the album, and I don't know that I need more skits on this album, and there are a lot, and it's
and
not...
Dead Prez was supposed to be like featured somewhere, but I don't know who he is, and I didn't know.
I was looking for Dead Prez. I don't know what they did to contribute to this. According to Spotify, they're there, so if somebody can let us know, that would be lovely.
Nice.
And you know?
Oh, well, I gave this a 4 out of 5. I thought it was just really sweet in a way. I liked how Prospect was just like, dude, you can do other things. You don't have to worry. And I felt like as well, I do agree with Bonnie, where Big Pun feels like he's maybe depressed or feels like he's out of touch with something. And you know what? Like, as much as Big Pun has been talking, like, you know, he's king shit and like, he can run the world and stuff like that. Like, it's nice to see Prospect remind him, like, dude, this is, like, I've heard your verses. I've heard what you said. I know you can do this. Like, just try. And then
well,
that
everybody
little
has
bit
that
of...
moment, so it's nice.
Of course. And that little bit of, that little moment, that little snippet of Big Pun trying to just sing raw like that was just really nice and honest. So I give it a 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next.
Let's talk about that Boomerang then, eh?
No.
The fat true Mac niggas was catching feelings, dealing with a smaller deck, it just wasn't as mass appealing.
This song is particularly interesting.
And I think it answers my question. Like, is he like maybe depressed?
Well,
Because
he's in
he
a
says
bad
that
state.
he says in this song that he's suicidal. So obviously something is up.
Well, from what I understand, it's a matter of you have your whole first verse where he kind of gets everything he wanted. And
Yeah.
he starts living large and he's whatever. And then
People start getting jealous of him.
And somebody sends that picture to his wife of, yo, check your husband fucking these next chicks.
Yo, running trains, not just fucking, but, like, I want to make that a thing. I get the orgies, but to physically run a train, I just...
Do you know what that means?
Yes, I know what it means. It's basically the new word for orgy, but most times it's generally like one woman and like a bunch of dudes.
It's when a bunch of guys take turns with a couple of girls. It's always been that. It's not the new term for orgy. It's for when a bunch of guys kind of line up and run a train. You know, everybody takes their turn smashing the same couple of girls, and it's so yeah, it's a particular type of gangbang, you could say. So yeah, he was involved in some stuff, and I guess the idea is him and Fat Joe were smashing some girls, and that got photographed and sent to his wife. And then in the second verse, right, it comes in, and now it's kind of like the implosion of his world, right? So his wife's caught him, he's losing stuff left, right, and center, and it's like, holy shit, the consequences. Everybody's about money now, everything's kind of evil now, everything's kind of fucked up. And what's interesting is it's the same flow, it's the same everything, but the tone, instead of building up to this like conclusion, is kind of building down into this desolate, like he can't keep it together, and it is really cool.
Yeah, but like he goes and like he goes and kills the guys who sent the picture, and then
he's angry. He's angry.
Yeah, like you know, like that's what he's threatening to do, and like then he's gonna have to like leave town, and that's why he's a boomerang, because he just wants to be able to come back, and he can't. He wants to be the boomerang.
Well, I think it's
more. I think
it's more like he's hoping as a boomerang effect to go back to the.
See, I saw the boomerang in the title of like it's like almost like cyclical. Like the first verse takes you in one direction and it just snaps right back, and that's what I took from like the boomerang thing. I
thought the boomerang was just I've been thrown into bullshit. When am I going back to the happiness? Because he does preach at one point.
There's no throwing in.
Yeah.
I feel like
no. I'm taking throwing as the.
I feel
little,
like he chose
boomerang.
and jumps into this bullshit, and
well,
now
he always
the
felt like rich and like
of it.
above the law, and so he doesn't think that like he can have these consequences.
But then
and
all
now
of a sudden, and that's what I'm saying. So it's kind of like this boomerang of like you propel your life up into here, and then it just pulls you right back down. That's how I saw that. I thought this was fucking brilliant. I thought this track was a straight 5. The beat's excellent. It's intelligent. When he goes on the more intelligent side, totally with it.
On the honest side. Straight
5
5
on 5. Yeah.
I felt that like again, like maybe it was just me that it was feeling long, that it was just an okay song. I gave this one a 3.5.
All right. Well, you came up with a bad grade.
No, I didn't.
And you open with lyrical dope, and these breaths that I'm quoting's like an injectional dose, and it never quit.
This is like basically like the OG version of Start From the Bottom, Now We're Here.
I don't agree with that. I think this is.
Well, it's sort of just like his like success story.
Well, it's
No.
more like he's here now.
He's successful now, and people are questioning his loyalty on being a ruthless thug gangster. I think
Like,
that.
it's, are you still down to ride? It's
Yeah,
like,
are you still
Well,
down
he
to
is
die
a ride or
with us?
die. He makes that very clear.
but that's
But
what
that's
he's
part of
saying.
the song.
So like the chorus is kind of like the questions he's getting. Like, you know, now that you made it, are you still one of us? If I give you the gun, are you gonna squeeze the trigger? And then in the verses, he's saying, y'all don't really know what I actually had to do to get here, what I'm willing to do to get here, the kind of guy that I am.
Right.
And
Just
kind of validating
the way I
it.
took it was like, look, I haven't changed. Like, Big Pun is there, like, yo, I'm still the same person,
Doesn't he
but
go
my environment around me's changed. I
Doesn't
have
he
to
go
act
as far as to
differently
say,
run.
like, he makes money but not enough to, like, really fucking live yet? Like, he's not even rich enough to not have to go and do
to
this
be
shit?
fair, not a lot of people think, like, it. Look, I don't know what his net worth was at that time, but I know that even us, if we were making X amount of money, we'd still feel like we want more. I think that's
But
just
I
like
think
a
what
greed
he's
thing.
trying, I don't know if it's a greed thing. I'm saying maybe he's in the in between. Like, sure, if I got, like, you make some halfway decent money. When you're making enough money, it's when you have a savings account. It's when you have everything you need. And when you actually get to that point, you're talking real money. So if he's making significant cash, let's say, off of illegal activities, but his illegal activities have a high cost associated with them.
Right.
Maybe he has a heavy cash flow coming in, but he doesn't have the bank to live off of. And I think that's what he's trying to imply. He's
Yeah.
like, look, I'm still on the grind. I'm still real. I still had to do these different things. I won't tell you what because I'm G like that. And I respect this track. I think it's a heavy validation in that he is still who he is. Like you're saying, he hasn't really changed much, even though he's clearly
His
moved
surroundings,
ahead.
it's his surroundings, and I think that's what a lot of people miss out in terms of grind. Forget being a rapper, forget being an artist. I think just when certain people start grinding for the money and getting where they want to go, there's always going to be those people, whether they're your
always gonna
friends,
be haters.
your haters, or whatever, man, even partners
But
or family.
I don't
they're
know
really-
that it's about that. I think it's more that he's saying, look, I've always been willing to do the jobs necessary to get to the goal. Now that I'm here, why on earth would you just assume I'm
But
not
that's-
still willing
That's
to do
where I'm
it?
trying to go with it. That is
But
probably
that has
a
nothing
more
to do with
simpler
the
way.
environment. That has to do with grit.
No, what
That's
I'm
the
getting at-
perseverance of Big Pun, staying real, even though now he's
Right,
climbing
I'm
up.
not saying
And
Big
whereas
Pun-
many other guys, when they start getting into more wealth and in more fame, they stop being gangsters and they focus full time. So
that's what I'm
none
saying.
of this has to do with the environment.
No, I'm not saying Big Pun is. I'm saying that the environment that he's in now, right? His friends are seeing that, and they're not seeing the same what he used
he's
to be
in the same environment. He is just doing better within this environment and no longer has to necessarily consume these crimes.
Okay.
All I'm saying is this is
Okay.
more of a question of Big Pun is still willing to do what needs to get done.
I feel like you're both kind of saying the same thing, just in your
I'm
own
just
ways.
saying that has nothing to do with the world he's in. This could apply to anybody in any environment. This could be like we're playing Dungeons and Dragons every freaking weekend, right? And then all of a sudden I start rapping, and you're like, "Yo, hold it." Now that you got some fans
But then,
and
like,
shit,
he shouts
are
out, like,
you-
the people that have, like, died in his life and been killed and stuff like that.
I
So
know,
it's
but
like,
if we're gonna parallel the world, I could be shouting out all my geeky homeboys. What I'm
Okay.
saying is, it's about his personality, and now that he has not changed, whereas started from the bottom and we're here is just the opposite. It's I've completely changed.
well, I just thought it was more just
Okay.
about his, like, tale of success and like, where he's
Yeah.
at now.
But more how people are questioning. I think it's
I
about his
wasn't comparing him to
See,
Drake.
for me, it's about his integrity. This whole song's my integrity's intact. I am still willing to do. My word is still.
That is very clear.
My word is still bond, because word is bond.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very true.
That is.
Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. I gave this a 4.5.
All right. This one was, like, jazzy and fun, and I liked it, but I don't know, it didn't really do that much for me. I gave this one a 3.5.
I give this one a 4 on 5.
I thought it was way more brilliant than that. Anyway.
Clearly.
Trey, Leches, Triboro, Trilogy is what's up next.
All right.
Or the HAVOC, nigga.
We all ready for some RZA production, some Inspektah deck featuring.
Yeah.
I feel like we were just talking
ready.
about the RZA. Anyway, so we got that. I want to call this the Vet Posse cut. So there's 2 posse cuts on almost all of these albums we come across, or at least the better ones. There's the amateur one, which is like the earlier one with
up-and-comers.
the Terror Squad coming on it. And then there's this one where you have Prodigy of Mobb Deep and Inspektah Deck of the Wu-Tang. These are like the real
Produced
rappers
by RZA.
of the Wu-Tang. And, like, you've just got these guys coming in, like, saying, we are saying
And it's
Big
darker and
Pun.
harder than the other songs.
And everyone's got a bit of a longer verse willing to come in. And then they got that cool intro part for each verse where it's like everyone's trying to bite my style. And they're now showing here are 3 styles from 3 different corners in New York.
And Eric B.
What?
Yeah,
Rakim and Eric B was one of the styles.
Well, I
They were
mean,
sampled at the very beginning.
yeah, but what I'm saying is there's Prodigy style.
Yeah.
That's one of the styles.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
And
the
then
individual
there-
rapper style.
But that's what the
yes.
little bridge part right before each verse was implying.
Yeah.
If you listen to the little cuts that they did there. Yeah. And then each of them come with their style representing their different corner. And it really, next to the other two, you kind of hear a bit of the difference between Big Pun and them and just the different ways of rapping is coming around. It's fun. It's deep. It's a good track.
Yeah. Really
Yeah,
nice.
they all are great on this track. Like it's a pretty damn good song, and like I said, it is very unique from the rest of them. Like it does have that like darker sound, like that darker feel. It sounds more gangster right away, and like they all kill it like amazingly. They all do a great job. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. It was a 4.5. It was pretty cool.
Nice. I actually thought this was a 5 on 5. I thought this was a banger ass track. The samples were really cool. Prodigy.
I like the DJing and like the scratching or whatever. Like that was good.
That was nice. It's just it's really cool how they just kind of shout out like, look, this is where we've taken. This is our inspiration. This is where we've gotten it. Like you can't claim that this is yours. Like it's been done before. It was just really real. 5 on 5.
All while each having their own unique style with it. And it's cool to hear kind of just RZA's production a few years after that Jizza album that we just did.
Yeah.
And just to see the evolution. So that was to me a really interesting part. 4 on 5.
Nice.
So next up we have the Charlie Rock Shout Skit. So this is a tribute to Charlie Rock.
And others like him.
Yeah.
I don't really know what happened. I started to Google this, and it turned out that Fat Joe and Charlie Rock had much beef, and I got distracted by looking at how Fat Joe had problems with all the Terror Squad people, and I ended up not getting to my conclusion of what the hell this is about.
Don't you hate when that happens when you start Googling something and then you end up like just in like the web, like.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what the 9th year means. I don't know if that's jail, if that's this, if that's that. So whatever it is, it is. I gave this a 2 on 5 because I found it really boring, and
It was 26 seconds. It can't be that boring.
it was extremely boring
No,
for
it
26
was
seconds.
boring.
He managed to get that because it's dry. There's no music or anything. It's just him talking.
I liked it. I felt like it was very raw. Like it was a very like personal clip. Like he's dedicating this, and it felt like appropriate. He was saying like I'm dedicating like this next song to him. Like and it's a skit separate from the song, so you don't have to listen to him dedicating it all the time, and I appreciate that.
Sure.
And so he puts it on as this little skit and separately from the actual song. So I don't know.
Much effect.
2 on 5.
I gave it a 4.5. I'm liking these skits on this album for some reason.
Yeah, well, you know what I like?
It felt very personal.
I like fast money.
I know you do.
Black interest, paying attention, not trying to get knocked to catch a fat sentence. Not to mention these kids is mafioso.
This is so cool. This is like an action movie playing out in lyrical forms. He busts in. He's got this great heist. He's going to make a lot of money. He breaks into the house and he's going through all the stuff. He's telling all the shit he's ready to do. Then shit goes wrong. The cops show up, blah, blah, blah. Then he runs and they start blasting at the police and everything's scary and they're going after the rocket launchers and shit. And then in the nick of time, Fat Joe and 20 of the Terror Squad goons show up in a van ready to save the day and they get out. Unlike in like the Bone Thugs and others where they all seem to die at the end, Big Pun gets away. He just gets escaped because the Terror Squad's G like that.
They have their back.
It's amazing. I feel like this podcast has kind of been running on for a while, so I don't want to spend too much time drilling into this. It's a lot of the same kind
Fast
of flows.
money, selling drugs.
The hook is amazing.
Guns,
the beat is fucking really
violence.
blessed. It's not the same kind, though. This is more of
It's
a
a story.
descriptive storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he says some cruder shit and etc. etc.
And I liked that, but there was like either I don't know if it was like just a clock or if it was like an actual metronome, but like it sounded for me like I thought it was a clock. It sounded like there was like a ticking kind of like as part of the beat.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool and unique, and it made you feel like there was like a timestamp on like what was happening, and that there was pressure and like like they were running like down to the second. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was nice. It was interesting. I gave it this one a 4 on 5.
For me, it was a 4.5. It wasn't 100% perfect. Maybe it's also just this is a bit of a long album, pushing an hour and 20, and it was kind of a lot of Big Pun, but I still love this track. I could not listen to it every day, but a lot of this album I want to go back to, and this is definitely one of the funner parts of it. If this came on randomly out of the middle of the blue, I'd be really excited to go on this adventure. And so yeah, near perfect. One of the better ones on this.
Fair enough. I also gave it a 4 on 5. I found it was very creative. It was very descriptive, but the material itself is kind of just the same throughout the entire album. So not very creative story-wise, but robbing, killing, shooting, dying. Like, it's just, we get it. You're a fucking savage.
It's like
I got
every time the guy comes in and tells a story or flips it up 180, you're like, it's the same as the rest.
No. I'm not trying to discredit the creativeness behind the story. The story was really great. I'm just saying, like, at this point, it's just, we get it. You're a fucking savage. Like, just with a rocket launcher now. Okay. 4 on 5. I didn't think it was bad.
I think it's completely more like he's a secret agent, breaking and entering thief that he's coming through. My whole thoughts on all this is, bro, how? I don't want to be a dick, but did anyone else go at like 400 pounds? How?
Yeah.
I want to throw that out there.
Like a little sneaky guy.
I guess I just never like
I've been 300 pounds. You're just not that able to do a lot of the things he's describing in this song with eloquence and grace.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying
That's
to.
true.
But still, it was amazing. I think this is one of the better versions of these kinds of songs I've heard so far.
Well, like I always tell everybody, if you're going to hang out with me, you're going to need some parental advice.
Discretion. Discretion.
Money. This ain't no money. Little girls too. This ain't for you, it's for the
Parental discretion, anyone?
Gotta love Busta Rhymes drops the chorus of the album here. It's the weird voice he takes on top of the weird flow he takes on top of the weird words he uses.
It's very weird.
And it's creepy and it's fucking
Scary.
It definitely makes you want to make sure that your kids are protected from these two coming through.
But that's what he's saying. Like that's what it is everything that it's supposed to be in this song.
Right, exactly. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying it's definitely eerie, and it made me want to review Busta Rhymes very soon.
I wanted to, yeah.
Because that's what I was like, I want to go through an album of Busta Bust and see what the fuck that shit is. That's like cocaine fueled madness.
Have you not listened to a full Busta Rhymes album?
I can't say
definitely
I have. Not. There's many songs of his I like, and then there's many more I don't like. And he is such a hit or miss artist for me that I've never, but then again, the classic albums, like something like, I don't know, the 90s produced might be a different experience. Still,
we'll see.
Big Pun does drop crazy verses here describing, it's almost like, it's a good finality to the album. It's like, he's trying to imply that he's not appropriate for your kids, and he's very aware of his place in things.
He doesn't want, like, your kids to listen to this. Like, this isn't made for children. Like, he...
And he gets almost like political with it, where it's like he's kind of like touching on just kind of the general hypocrisy of how things are. And I don't know, I like it because he kind of like asks questions like doesn't violence kind of predate hip hop? How is hip hop exactly responsible? So as much as he doesn't want your kids to listen to it, I think it's kind of mocking the idea of the parental discretion is advised in general. Like this is the reality of things that I'm putting out. No, your kids shouldn't listen to me, but really, am I the problem mixed in with this shit when you consider that I am again just spitting the reality of what your kids are already seeing? And I think there's kind of that level of, like, ironic kind of criticism going on. I give it a 4. It's definitely not my favorite track on the album. It's one of the funnest hooks, but it's okay. It's a good ending. It's a solid jam. The beat didn't do it for me like the other ones.
It's not as captivating as it. But it's nice to see Busta Rhymes. It's nice to have him doing his weird, fucked up shit. It's entertainable. It's enjoyable. I like how Big Pun put this song at the end. It's like, I've given you 23 songs of gold, and I'm letting you know at the end that you shouldn't have listened to any of it.
Well,
Just don't let your kids listen to it.
I think that's more what it is. It's not you shouldn't listen to it. It's that parental
and like
discretion
if
is
kids
advised.
get a hold of
Yeah.
this, like he's not responsible. Like that's your job as a parent to
Until
take
the
care
end.
of. But that's what he's saying. He's like, I don't care. He's like, this is like,
But,
if your
I
kids
mean-
listen to this, it's your fault for not being there.
Yeah, I think it's a good summation of him recognizing who he
Absolutely, because I mean, like he said, he takes, I think, being a parent like
Serious.
seriously, with like serious responsibility. Like he knows what's up, and so he's just giving like that warning. He doesn't want kids to listen to this.
is. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Would you give it?
I gave it a 4 on 5.
So did I. 4 out of 5. It's by this for me. It's like, okay, this was a lot of Big Pun, for one day, but at the same time, I don't really think I'd go back to this. There wasn't really anything that really kept me to this song.
Okay.
All right, let's. So what did you guys like rate like the whole?
I give
the
the
whole
album a 4.03. I think it's a clear classic, but there are definite flaws. I feel like Big Pun focuses so much on being the lyrical barrage of everything that the songwriting takes a bit of a hit. You're not coming to this for excellent songs. You're coming to this for excellent rapping.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to almost
Yeah.
be in a mood for, like, Big Pun is not necessarily for the casual listener. And
Although he does have some like tracks that you can listen to every day.
Of course, he does make those songs that are
But
very enjoyable for
he's a
everybody.
bit of, I
but-
feel like he's a bit of a niche market kind of rapper. You have to really be into that fast, intense,
If you like
heavy
Biggie,
flows.
you should listen to him.
He's like Biggie on steroids. I'll
Yeah.
be honest. He's like a jacked up Biggie in terms of his flow and his style and everything.
Fair enough.
I don't know. 4.03.
I knew you and I would have a pretty similar. We were pretty similar all the way through. I gave it a 4.04 on 5, so that's like a 80 or 80.1 or 81%.
It would be a little less, like 80.1, maybe 2.
No, it's actually 808. But anyways, you guys don't care about the
okay.
percentage anyways.
No one does.
So yeah, I liked it. It was good. It was more enjoyable than I thought it was. It was just a bit long, and it did kind of like, for me, like it lagged a little bit near the end. But I mean, it was still like everything was still good about it.
Right.
Yeah. Even the threesome skit.
Even the threesome skit was still better than most.
I gave this entire album a 4.2 on 5. It was really cool. It was a really crazy experience. I have to say it was a little long in terms of an album, but you know what? The ups and downs on the album are really
And we only had him for a short while anyways, so
yeah.
we
It
gotta
wasn't
appreciate him while we got
bad.
him.
Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't personally go listen to this whole entire album again on my own, but
I would.
give me a road trip and I'll do it.
Honestly, I feel
All
like this
right.
is one of those albums where I'm more inclined to go learn the album.
That's
than
what it
I am to
is.
go
It's
bump
not
it.
like
And there are tracks on here, but it's a lot of I want to study his rapping more.
Yeah.
Like his,
He does have an incredible flow, and it is astounding listening to him.
Anyway, I don't got a lot more to say. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Next week,
We love that you stayed till the end, and if
Yeah.
you did, like,
Please-
hey.
like the video, subscribe to the channel, etc. Next week, we're gonna not do a request. We've got an album planned up, and then the week after is Ladies Week, so it's gonna be a lady rapper. And then we'll figure it out a couple weeks, but we got a special one for you next week that will hopefully be enjoyed by all. So until then, peace and love.
Bye, guys.